In the world of finance, understanding the capital structure is akin to understanding the DNA of a company. Just as DNA forms the blueprint of life, dictating the characteristics and behaviors of an organism, the capital structure of a company lays out the framework for its financial operations. It is the unique combination of financial ingredients that a company uses to finance its overall operations and growth. These ingredients may include debt, equity, or hybrid securities. Imagine a company as a high-rise building. The capital structure is the architectural plan that dictates how to construct this building. It determines what proportion of the building will be built with concrete, representing debt, steel, representing equity, or a mix of both, representing hybrid securities. The choice of materials not only affects the cost of construction, but also the stability and durability of the building. In a similar vein, the capital structure of a company impacts its profitability and risk profile. A company heavily reliant on debt may enjoy tax benefits, as interest payments are tax deductible. However, high debt levels can also increase the risk of financial distress, particularly if the company experiences cash flow problems. On the flip side, a company that leans more towards equity financing may have a lower risk of bankruptcy, as it doesn't have to worry about repaying its debts. Yet, this approach may lead to a dilution of ownership and potentially lower returns for the existing shareholders. In the middle ground, we find hybrid securities, which blend the features of debt and equity. They offer a way for companies to achieve a balance between risk and return, while also providing flexibility in meeting their financial needs. The right capital structure is thus a delicate balance, a complex puzzle that companies must solve to optimize their profitability while minimizing risk. It requires keen financial acumen, strategic foresight, and a deep understanding of the company's business model and market dynamics. In essence, the capital structure is the backbone of a company's financial health. The right structure can help a company stand tall and robust in the face of financial storms, while the wrong one could cause it to crumble under pressure. So remember, understanding a company's capital structure is crucial to understanding its financial strengths and vulnerabilities. Now, diving into the traditional theory of capital structure, it's a theory that provides a framework for understanding a company's financial decisions. This theory, as the name suggests, is a time-tested approach that companies have been using to determine their capital structure. The traditional theory of capital structure operates on the premise that there is an ideal mix of debt and equity financing that maximizes a company's value. It's akin to a recipe for a perfect financial stew, where the right blend of ingredients can lead to a delightful outcome. Picture a scale. On one side, you have equity financing, which is money invested in the business by its owners or shareholders. On the other side, you have debt financing, which is money borrowed from external sources like banks or financial institutions. The theory posits that a company can increase its value by gradually increasing its level of debt up to a certain point. This is because debt in general is cheaper than equity due to tax benefits and lower interest rates. Therefore, as a company increases its debt, it lowers its overall cost of capital, which in turn increases its value. But like all good things, too much debt can also be detrimental. There's a tipping point beyond which the benefits of additional debt start to decline and the costs begin to mount. This is where the risk of bankruptcy looms large. The company's cost of capital starts to rise again and its value begins to decline. Therefore, the crux of the traditional theory of capital structure is about finding the right balance. It's about determining that optimal level of debt that maximizes a company's value while minimizing its risk. It's about striking that delicate equilibrium that ensures a company's financial stability and long-term growth. So, the traditional theory of capital structure is all about finding that sweet spot of debt level for a company. It's a journey of balancing risk and reward, a quest for financial equilibrium that can propel a company towards sustainable success. But how does the traditional theory of capital structure work? Let's dissect this concept. At its core, the traditional theory of capital structure is about how a company finances its operations and growth. It can use equity, which refers to the ownership stake of the company's shareholders, or it can use debt, which is borrowed money that needs to be paid back over time, often with interest. But why would a company want to use debt? Well, debt can act as a lever to enhance the returns to shareholders. Let's picture this like a seesaw. On one side, we have the cost of borrowing. On the other, the return on investment the company can potentially achieve. If the return outweighs the cost, the seesaw tips in favor of the shareholders. This is what we call financial leverage. However, it's not all about piling on the debt. There's also the concept of the optimal capital structure. This is the sweet spot where the marginal benefit of further increases in debt equals the marginal cost. In other words, it's the point where each additional dollar of debt will not bring any extra benefit to the shareholders. Imagine a tightrope walker. On one side, there's the potential for higher returns through leveraging debt. On the other, the risk of financial distress and bankruptcy if the company cannot pay back its debt. The optimal capital structure is that fine line the tightrope walker treads, balancing the potential rewards with the associated risks. So how does a company find this balance? It's a complex process involving careful analysis of the company's operations, risk tolerance, market conditions, and many other factors. It requires a deep understanding of both the benefits and the risks associated with debt. Therefore, the mechanics of the traditional theory is a balancing act between leveraging debt and managing the associated risks. Now that we understand how the traditional theory works, what are the implications for companies and their financial decisions? Firstly, the traditional theory has significant implications for a company's cost of capital. It proposes an optimal capital structure where the cost of capital is minimized. By balancing debt and equity, companies can strike a sweet spot where the cost of borrowing is low, yet the risk of financial distress is manageable. Therefore, companies must be mindful of this balance when making financing decisions. Secondly, the traditional theory directly impacts a company's risk profile. When a company leans towards debt financing, it assumes more financial risk due to the obligation to repay creditors. However, equity financing isn't risk-free either. Issuing more equity might dilute ownership, which could lead to conflicts among shareholders. Hence, under this theory, companies need to weigh these risks when deciding their capital structure. Now, let's talk about growth. The traditional theory suggests that a company's potential for growth is influenced by its capital structure. Companies that employ more debt have more funds available for growth, given that debt is usually cheaper than equity. However, over-reliance on debt could limit future borrowing and hence curtail growth. On the other hand, a conservative approach with more equity might mean less money for growth, but it offers stability. Therefore, the choice of capital structure can steer a company's growth trajectory. Moreover, the traditional theory underscores that the optimal capital structure is not a one-size-fits-all solution. It can vary from company to company, depending on their unique circumstances. Factors like industry norms, market conditions, and company-specific variables play a crucial role in determining the right balance of debt and equity. In essence, the traditional theory of capital structure is not just a theoretical concept. It's a practical tool that can guide companies in their financial strategy, helping them navigate the complex world of finance with more clarity and confidence. So, the traditional theory of capital structure has profound implications for a company's financial strategy. To sum up our discussion on the traditional theory of capital structure, here are the key points to remember. Firstly, capital structure refers to the mix of debt and equity used by a firm to finance its operations and growth. It's the backbone of a company's financial health and can influence its risk and return profile. The traditional theory of capital structure, also known as the trade-off theory, posits that there's an optimal capital structure for each firm. This optimal mix of debt and equity minimizes the cost of capital and maximizes the value of the firm. The mechanics of this theory revolve around balancing the benefits and costs of debt. On one hand, debt can be a cheaper source of financing because interest payments are tax-deductible. On the other hand, high levels of debt can increase the risk of financial distress and bankruptcy, which could potentially wipe out the firm's equity. The implications of the traditional theory are significant. It suggests that firms should aim to reach their optimal capital structure where the marginal benefit of additional debt equals the marginal cost. This balance point can differ from firm to firm depending on factors like the industry, business risk, and growth opportunities. The theory also provides a framework for understanding how changes in the capital structure can affect a company's cost of capital and value. For instance, if a firm moves away from its optimal capital structure by taking on too much debt or equity, it could increase its cost of capital and decrease its value. Finally, the traditional theory underscores the importance of financial management decisions. Managers need to carefully consider the trade-offs when deciding the amount and type of financing to use. By understanding the traditional theory of capital structure, one can make informed decisions about a company's financial strategy, ultimately contributing to its success.